What's going on, everybody out there, and welcome back to another Dark Avenger comic book review episode. And we got a couple of unfortunately to hit you guys with. Unfortunately, this is a day late, basically two. By the time this goes up, it'll probably be around like Friday. And unfortunately, I did not get a chance to read. I did not get a chance to finish reading my Argo books this week. So Argo is going to be moved one more time. It's been a hectically busy week, both on and offline. Next week should be easier. I should have enough time to read both books along with all the other books. We've just been hit with a lot of books lately. Testing certain books out that will not be in this review. Reading through the others. It's just been hectic. How many books do we have this week? 20?
Yep. 20 flat. 20
exact. So we have 20 books that we're going to be reviewing. But believe me, we read more.
Yeah. And also, before we begin these comic books, the release date. These were released on October 11, 2017, and for the first time in all of our comic book history, we have no independence digitally.
We have none?
None.
But we do have one physically.
Yes, we do. Two physically.
No, one. That is not. That's Marvel, dude.
Oh, I thought I saw... Yeah. Oh, whoops.
Switch the order, please. And I'll fix it later. So, Birthright issue number 27. I'm enjoying the series. So, Mikey is still in an induced, not coma, but basically in a dream state, as the grandfather still tries to break into the psyche and find out what exactly happened to him. You have this team of people in there looking to infiltrate and take Mikey. We don't know who they're working for yet or anything. All we know is they're there and they are a danger to Mikey and the family.
Danger.
So we find out that it's not the Nevermind that's fighting the grandfather from finding out what happened to Mikey. It's actually Mikey fighting to protect something, and the grandfather doesn't know what. And they're going somewhere to help pull the Nevermind out of Mikey. We just don't know how yet. And then really that was the bulk of the book. The rest is this team kind of talking with the father, mingling with the family, trying to kind of get some information, and you see other agents in the background just waiting to pounce. I'm really enjoying Birthright. It's an enjoyable book. I definitely recommend it. Now we're going into the digital Big 2, which is basically the bulk of this video. Not digital, just the Big 2. Weapon X issue number
9.
Okay, I wanted to make sure. I couldn't see that 9. Issue 9, so Wolverine, all-new Wolverine, Laura, joins the team as they track down Weapon H, and Reverend Stryker is also tracking down Weapon H, but the Doctor finds Weapon H first. And he just, he has no memory of his past. It's kind of a Wolverine-esque syndrome, and I like how they play that off with Old Man Logan and Laura a bit, because Sabretooth is talking about, he won't know his past, so what's going to happen when he finds out and remembers his past, and they're remembering back to when they remembered their past.
Yep.
And they both said, it's not going to be good. So they're looking for Weapon H. The Doctor finds him first. They have a bit of a conversation. He's trying to find out who he is. And Stryker's right outside. She's like, if you want answers, he'll have them for you. But she whispers something in his ear before he leaves. I wonder if that's some type of a mind control, and it does play out towards the end of the book, because Weapon H destroys Reverend Stryker and his team, and basically just follows whatever the Doctor says. So obviously there's a failsafe with him, and now she's controlling him. Weapon X makes it there too late. Weapon H and the Doctor are gone, but we find out a huge spoiler. Either the real Reverend Stryker is hidden somewhere far away, or, in fact, the thought to be dead Reverend Stryker was actually an android.
Wow.
I'm really glad I'm getting this series as trade paperbacks. Once we get past Weapon H, which is basically the entire first story arc of Weapon X, I think I'm going to start getting the individual issues for Weapon X, because so far, I've not been let down once by this book. I've enjoyed it. So I'll get the first couple of, the first arc, basically, the 2-part big arc in trade, and then I'll start getting the books individually, physically, because I'm just really enjoying it. And we did release a lot of books, and such will be mentioned soon. Where was this is DC, that's Marvel, so I'm going to do that first.
Oh, alright.
We'll switch it up also. Hulk issue number 11 was a disappointment, and as you guys are seeing, it has been moved to a digital format. Now, I've been told by everybody on Frontline, because we already did Frontline Live, as you guys know, that this returns back to the 80s She-Hulk version. Like, this is how the books were written back in the 80s. And honestly, I jumped into Hulk hoping for something to interest me. I did try She-Hulk once before, and that series didn't really interest me. This whole issue, it didn't do anything for me. Again, She-Hulk is a character that's very, either I really enjoy it or I really don't. I didn't really enjoy the series going right along since the beginning, and this issue kind of just threw me completely for a loop. The only reason I'm coming back one more time is because this was, I believe, a one and done, and the next arc is going to involve Leader. I'll stick with it, see what's up with the book. If I don't enjoy it, I'll probably end up fully dropping She-Hulk. However, I am picking up Incredible Hulk now.
Okay.
So we had to switch. Now I'm doing the Amadeus Cho book as opposed to the Jen book. I don't know. It's just there are just certain characters. Like, for example, this week Falcon issue number 1 came out. I didn't get halfway through that book before I decided it just was not interested in it. It has nothing to do with the writing. It has nothing to do with the story. It has to do with the character. There are just certain characters I do not enjoy reading or have a connection with. But from what I heard, the book didn't do well anyway. But that's beside the point.
That happened.
So, again, and this book kind of, I don't know, Mr. Miracle issue number 3. This is another book that I kind of, it can't be real. The more I'm reading this book, the more I feel like somehow Mr. Miracle was trapped, or is trapped, in something. Because the more it's playing out, the less likely the less likely that this is really what's going on. And for some reason, I was very interested in the first issue. I liked the second issue. This issue, it would be midway ground for me once again. Again, this is not something... the character was interesting. The story was interesting. It just looks things are getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And it's like, I don't know how I feel about Mr. Miracle. I mean, this time around, I felt like it was a chore to read the book. I don't know why. It just felt like it was a chore.
So far, nothing pleased you this week, did they?
Weapon X.
Well,
Birthright.
Besides that, well, in Birthright, yeah.
And another book that you didn't put that I'm going to talk about really quickly, and it was actually right... Oh, oops. Sorry.
No,
you
should know.
Mm. Amazing Spider-Man. Now, I apologize. There's no back for this. This is how I actually got it. It's part of the Marvel Legacy variants. Amazing Spider-Man 789. Spider-Man returns to his classic numbering. This was recommended to me by everybody on Frontline. I decided to drop Spider-Man until Venom Inc. I picked this up, obviously, for the cover. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take Amazing Spider-Man and put him on a... After reading this book, I enjoyed it a bit. You see that the world is now against Pete because of what happened with Parker Industries. A lot of people are upset with him. A lot of his friends are kind of against him. The world is basically against Peter Parker right now. But Spider-Man, Bobby throws the Spider-Man costume on and says, "Listen, Pete, let's go do what you do best." And he goes out. He has a great time with Spider-Man. He's like, "Look, this is the best part of my life right now is being Spider-Man." And you see him and Bobby getting closer together. I'm going to put this book on a probation period.
Okay.
I'm going to read the rest of this arc digitally because I only got this book. And then I actually stopped buying it from DCBS. We'll see how the book does digitally. If I do enjoy it, I will be picking this physically back up again anyway for Venom Inc. Because it crosses over with Venom. Unless I drop Venom. If I drop Venom, which is a possibility because Venom's been 50-50, I'll probably... Suffice it to say, regardless whether it's physical or digital, Spider-Man will be sticking around for a little bit longer. I want to see where Amazing goes. And I do still have Spectacular, Ben Reilly, and I am reading Spider-Gwen at the moment as well. I will be covering that next week. I'm getting this week's books confused with the books that we're reviewing now. That's why, because I'm already starting to read those books. That's why I said you forgot a book. I'm thinking of the book I was going to do for Frontline.
Oh.
So... That's next week's
I didn't see it on here.
It's not on here. It's next week's book. Cool. It's my fault. See, this is why we got to try to get these reviews out by Wednesday, so this way...
Well, they've been coming,
Well, now they'll be coming early, because we'll see if we get our books tomorrow.
Let's hope.
Runaways issue number 2. Now... What's her name now? It's caught up to speed. Who was saved? Gertrude. Gertrude is kind of caught up to speed with what's going on. She wakes up in the present. She's like, what the hell's happened? What's going on? Where are the Runaways? What's this? What's that? And slowly Nico and Chase kind of catch her up that, basically they give her the cliff notes of what happened in the volumes after her death with the Runaways, and they mentioned that, the Runaways are separate now. Molly's with her grandmother. We've all gone separate ways. They were that Nico and Chase were kidnapped. And she's like, we got to go get the band back together. And that's what she kind of does. I love the artwork in this book. It felt this book had a lot of disposition for anyone who hasn't been up to date with the Runaways. It catches you up with what happened sort of after the first volume. Because remember, Gertrude was not in Runaways since her death. So it kind of catches her and the readers up with what's going on. And now they're going to find their friends. They talk about Victor, who died in the previous arc, and there's a big... okay, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a spoiler warning here, because it's going to be spoilerish, but it turns out Victor was more robot than they thought, and they might actually be able to bring Victor back, which is cool. So slowly they're bringing the Runaways back together, but the question is, they bring the team back together, we know somebody's been watching the Runaways, but who? And if it's their parents, then the book now has purpose. But if it's not the parents, or if it's not somebody who's out to get the Runaways, purpose of the book, question mark?
Question mark it'll be.
X-Men Blue issue number 13. I'm really enjoying this Mojo World crossover, worldwide. It's called Worldwide, really? I thought it was just Mojo World, but okay. I'm enjoying this crossover. It's going through X-Men Blue and X-Men Gold for the next 2 months. I did get the Legacy variant. I showed it on my haul video on Frontline. At the end of the month, as you guys know, I'm going to be doing a recap of all the Legacy lenticulars. I'll be doing one in 2 weeks for October, and one at the end of November, and then there's a smaller one in December. I think if I get all the books, once I know I have all the books, I'll do a December one. I'm not sure if they're going to continue it into January and February. If they do, these books aren't selling out fast. I don't even know. I don't really like them. I think that I'll probably end up stopping in December. I think the end of 2017 is good enough. We got a lot of other expenses on our mind. Also, we have other sites that we're dealing with financially. So, and no offense, but Marvel doesn't exactly have the best of covers anyway. That's why I'm being very gentle with X-Men Blue. So the story continues. They have there's another stamp, by the way, for those of you looking for these stamps. Got Thor in this one, Mighty Thor.
Thor.
Mighty Thor. So they're fighting inside Mojo World. There was a great back and forth with Rachel and Cyclops. She with Tyke Dad or Dad Tyke and this and that. It was hilarious. So they all end up linking up and they're all fighting. Well, there is already a death, and this is my one concern here. You have the other Avengers and Spider-Man trying to break in, and they can't. One thing that kind of bothered me was, okay, in the last arc, Bloodstorm survived. She didn't understand why, but she's like, oh wow, I didn't get sent back to the demon world. I have a second chance. And us as readers, we're like, cool. She has a second chance. This will be a character that joins the X-Men Blue team and becomes a younger Storm. Spoiler alert, and I hope that this is not fully true, but she's killed in this issue.
Storm?
Bloodstorm. Not Storm, Bloodstorm.
Oh.
And she dies. She evaporates in Cyclops' arms.
Oh my god.
And she's like, I thought I had more time. And it's like, really? You really? She just was saved and you killed her not an issue or two in? I really hope that this is not a death that sticks, because it's like there were a lot of... again...
Who wrote it?
Who's writing this right now? Cullen Bunn.
Okay, because if it was Bendis, what's dead is...
I understand, but no.
I'm just saying.
My thing is, if you let her survive the arc that she was introduced in, you could have easily sent her back last issue. You let her stick around. Why kill her off so fast? You could have...
I think there's a reason.
That's just a minor nitpick. The rest, it's just continuing forward. And then, Longshot returns.
Longshot?
Longshot.
Yeah, from the X Factor. Oh, wow.
And we find out he's been hacking into Mojo's, I said Mojo, I'm thinking Green Lantern. Mojo's streaming programs, so he's kind of streaming himself, fighting against
What's with
Mojo.
The eye?
You gotta read the book.
No, what's with the eye? I read X Factor. I never saw anything.
He's not part of X Factor.
He was.
In the beginning, yes. He's from... you don't really know I've got to give Mike
No, I know
time.
Longshot.
So, then, of course, we get a hologram of Magneto. So it looks like the team where Longshot's with, which is Kitty's team, are about to fight Magneto. To be continued. It's a nice story. This is a really nice story so far. My only nitpick, once again, is that they killed off Bloodstorm not even one issue after she could have been released. Unless, again, it's one of those things where it's dead for the story arc and then it's like, oh, we never killed her. We sent her to a prison or something. Or she disappeared and then when they got out, everybody was alive in the end, you know? Defenders issue number 6, and this is the lenticular cover that you're not going to see the Defenders one, so I'm just going to open it up and show you guys. Defenders issue number 6. Diamondback we find out that he's been taking pills that give him the superpowers that he's had in the previous issues. There's a fight between him and Black Cat going on. The Defenders show up, save the day. I did a review of this on Comic Frontline. If you guys would like to see a full-fledged review, go ahead. I like the artwork change when they're in the courtroom. That was one thing I liked because it looked like they're doing like courtroom sketches. Diamondback ends up getting free in the end. We find out Black Cat is kind of in a bit of a, not a coma, but she's healing after that. You have Deadpool who's being enlisted by the Defenders to help them out with Diamondback. And we find out, spoiler alert kind of, unless you've read solicits, but Kingpin, Wilson Fisk, is behind Diamondback's return. His powers, and basically Diamondback is a stand-in for Kingpin, and we all know why, because if you've been watching the comic news, Wilson Fisk is going to be running for mayor, and actually he's going to become mayor, I believe.
Really? Alright, lenticular cover that I got for this week, which I did review for Comic Frontline, the Despicable Deadpool issue number 287. And I'll show you guys the regular cover since this is... So yeah, this is the regular cover.
How did you throw my Marvel books off so much? Because I noticed the next two are in the wrong order too, but that's okay.
You put them in that order.
Okay. Doesn't matter. There's no... It doesn't matter. Again, I don't do
Well, anyway, so just to sum this whole up, it's just really Deadpool going up against Cable. And Deadpool's objective is to kill Cable. Whereas Cable... with mentioning the whole Steve Rogers and everything, you know, because this is all his fault with all of what's going on. I have no idea because I don't read Despicable Deadpool. I just did because this is a Marvel Legacy tie-in to the series. So, in the end, the Time Variance officer comes in and says, oh, Cable, we're taking you in because of denying that you're going to be a Strife one day and all that. Oh, and I'm not showing artwork. How... That's upsetting. Here, let me show you guys some artwork. Great artwork, by the way. And Deadpool was about to kill him until the variants came in. He didn't get Cable, but he got the girl, which actually turned into something Deadpool-like, kinda. And that's the end of the issue. So, no one won, I guess. It was just that. And am I going to be picking up the other Despicable Deadpools? Absolutely not.
Yeah, you're going to go back to digital. The only reason we have that physically is because of the Marvel lenticular variants, which this... See, now this is
it's
what
bugs me. It's a Marvel
me.
Legacy tie-in also.
Yeah, this is what bugs me. This cover does a pretty good job.
Wait, let me see. Oh, wow.
It does a pretty good job changing. Why can't the other covers do this? So, all new Wolverine issue number 25. Okay, want to make sure. So, Dawkins gets attacked by these people. Well, we get a little bit of a prelude where... it's Wolverine picking up the sword. It's a previous story arc. But we find out that there's actually another thing that was forged for Wolverine, but it's left behind. It's a shield that's going to protect him. The sword is to release his fury, and then one day him or his kin are going to need protection, and that's what the shield... Obviously, this is where the story is going to be going, is Laura getting that shield. So Dawkins in this bar in the middle of nowhere, as the book says, and he gets attacked by these people known as the victims, the Orphans of X, which involve, I believe, I think Kat said Weapon X. I thought the X-Men. I don't know. It's the Orphans of X. They attack Dawkins, and apparently they take him and leave his severed hand behind with a note for Laura. And Laura notices the scent on the note, which leads her back to where she was created. I also do like Gabby's costume, and I like that she's telling Laura, I need a code name. I can't be Wolverine and Gabby. I want to be somebody else.
Wolverine
so
and
Laura sneaks away with Warren. She goes back to where she escaped years ago. We get lots of flashbacks. And then she finds a tank with somebody in it, but it's not Dawkins. Oh, spoiler alert warning, it's her mother.
Whoa. That's a twist.
That's a twist. And then, of course, you get those 3 pages of story.
Yeah, they did that in Despicable Deadpool.
And one thing I like is the art for this is done by, oh my god, why did the name leave me? Here we go. Mark Bagley.
Oh, Mark Bagley.
I really appreciated Mark Bagley doing the X-23, well, Laura's backstory up to when she became Wolverine. Really great stuff. This was my favorite book from Marvel this week. My second favorite was, ironically, in that it was put in the order, honestly, literally, it wasn't put in order by that reason. It was just, now it's backwards. Anyway, Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows, issue number 12. So we find out that Normie didn't pilot that big mecha Green Goblin, by the way. You got the X-Men who make a guest appearance to fight this mecha Green Goblin, and apparently it has regen technology. So Spider-Man tells the X-Men, "Get the hell out of here! You're giving the mecha all of their."
Yeah, is this out?
No, not yet.
Oh, I thought it was out already.
You're giving it all of your abilities, so they end up leaving. MJ and Liz end up saving Annie Mae, and they find out that Normie's not the one piloting the ship, and we find out it's actually January, Miss January, looking to keep Normie, where he is, to keep him on the right track. She ends up beating up on Spider-Man and MJ. MJ ends up losing the symbiote, and then it's up to Annie Mae to kind of take the mecha out. She does. Normie saved. Happy ending. Everybody's happy, and then we jump.
Happy ending.
8 years later to when she's a teenager.
Oh,
this entire issue reads like she's telling the story like it happened in the past. For us readers, it's the present, but for her, it's the past. So this whole issue was told in Annie Mae's past tense up until the very last 2 pages where we see her as a teenager. And now the book jumps 8 years ahead, and it goes from being Spider-Man and Mary Jane back together with a kid to Spider-Girl, but not really Spider-Girl because Pete and MJ are still young enough to be Spider-Man and Spinneret unless MJ changes her name. So it's Spider-Man and Spider-Girl.
I guess.
Meshed together. That's what Renew Your Vows will be. I don't know if they're purposely trying to hurt this book, or if they're literally just seeing how far they can go with this book before people start to drop it and then be like, oh, well, see, that's why we didn't keep Pete and Mary Jane together, and that's just bullshit. But that's just my opinion, and now we're in New Superman. Finally, from DCBS, I'm getting this, issue number 16. So, apparently, Keenan is in some type of a limbo. We get to see Slam Brady again. And now, for those of you that don't know, not Dan Jurgens, I'm sorry. Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster created Slam Brady. You see here, I believe way back in the 1930s. I don't even know if, no, it isn't even referenced here about Slam Brady. Let's see.
Is it?
Yeah, no, it just says Superman created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. Has nothing to do with Slam Brady, but they show old comics where he's beating up on these evil Chinese people, and it turns out that the Chinese people are actually really good people. It all goes back to misrepresentation back in the past about Chinese people and Slam Brady beating up on a bunch of innocent people. And it's involved with the red, what was it? Why can't I figure out what it is? Oh, here it is. The Red Jade Dragon, which apparently Superman or Keenan needs to unlock all of his powers. We find out that it's Yang that's the one telling him all this stuff, and that he has Keenan's master, and the only way for Keenan to get his friend back or his master back is to basically reach his full potential. And of course become Emperor of China, which Keenan is going to fake to get his master back. I like how they kind of went with the Return of Superman look here, where it's the black and silver S. And we get a rundown on what's been going on in China while Keenan was out for a week. He wants to go find the Jade Dragon. His mother, of course, through forcible means, forces him to stay in. And then the Justice League free him and sneak him out. And then they piss off the American Justice League, long story short. So it's going to be fun to see what the next issue is like. But I enjoyed this issue. I'm really glad I'm back into all new Superman. I'm really new Superman. I'm really enjoying this book a lot. Speaking of new
You did that. Yes, you did.
No, we're gonna switch it then. I would like to switch this one.
Oh my goodness.
Speaking of new Superman, he makes a guest appearance in Supergirl. Because Supergirl is having a hard time dealing with her powers. Because her powers are now amplified. So Superman sends Kara to Keenan, who introduces him to his master. And at the time, this takes place, as it says here, after the events of Superman number 11, of New Superman number 11. That is New Superman 16. So this is in between the story arcs. So he teaches her the way he's teaching Keenan, how to really focus her chi and focus her ability so that they don't get out of control again. There's an attack, and it involves Red Rocket. And it involves her, her protecting Red Rocket, then fighting Red Rocket. It's a back and forth thing, but she ends up keeping her cool and keeping her abilities in check, stopping Red Rocket, and then kind of making him realize that he's wrong, because he's kind of like got this I should be the authority here. And then it's just a really nice ending to the book, and then we get kind of a little bit of a prelude that Cat Grant wants to expose Supergirl now, and we find this out because Kara is actually working for Cat, as we all know. So now Supergirl's just taking things step at a time. I thought this was a nice little crossover issue with Keenan and Supergirl. I really enjoyed it.
It's good that Keenan's actually in another book. I didn't actually think he would be in another book. That's actually pretty cool.
And actually, that book should have been way before both Superman books, but it's fine. I don't know how. Maybe somebody
You put them in the order.
I think somebody messed with our pile.
No, I put you put them over there.
Yeah, everything else is in the right order.
Yeah, I flipped it over the way you put them.
So let's get into Superwoman issue number 15 now. We get introduced to a new villain who is targeting Superwoman, and that is Midnight. This person who is this being who is a connected to a computer system. You got Lana still dealing with her, having trouble with her abilities, and John calling Lois in to kind of talk with Lana to try to help her out. And then, of course, Midnight, what is it? Is it Midnight? I believe Midnight.
I think it is Midnight, yeah.
I think so, too. But she ends up attacking now, looking for Superwoman. And she ends up attacking Steel. First of all, she's causing black holes in the all around Metropolis. And then she ends up attacking Lois and Steel. Steel gets taken. Lois gets away barely. And then she goes to Lana mentioning that they needed help. That Steel and her need help. Interesting. I gotta see where it goes. I kind of have to see where it goes. I'm enjoying this book. Again, I feel like this book is not going to really make it too much further. I don't know. I'm not sure. It might make it to a certain point because Superman did mention needing the family when Oz attacked, and we're right in the middle of the Oz effect, so.
Aha. Alright, it's my turn now, and that will be Justice League of America, issue number 16. We are still in the story... Oh, let me just make sure that it's right here. We are still in the story arc of the Panic in the Microverse. And this story actually talks about Ort, who is, like how he can't be trusted because Ray Palmer said about, why he shouldn't be trusted. So, there's some really great artwork. And, of course, he goes by the name of actually No, which is Professor Ort's thing. Is everything right?
Yes.
Alright. So, all he wants is just, mercy and everything, and he just wants to cause massive amounts of chaos, mainly to get rid of the Microverse. And then after all the fight scene and everything, it leads right to where, whatchamacallit,
the Justice League meet Null.
Where the Justice League meet Null, and also where, what's his name? Kyle, I think. Where Kyle was actually meeting up with him and also finding Ray. And now it's going to be them against the Justice League of America.
Green Lantern issue 30 continues where Superman's last arc, not the one with Deathstroke, but the one where he's fighting Parallax, left off. Superman sends a message to John on Mogo mentioning that he has crossed paths with Sinestro and Parallax, and he meets a Green Lantern on Earth. In the end, John ends up sending Hal, of course. He meets up with Superman.
That's
really nice artwork. I love the artwork in this book. So Superman gives Hal the ring, but Parallax apparently isn't in the ring, and Superman's like, that's impossible. I saw it with my own eyes. I saw Parallax go into the ring. And that's where something starts to attack Hal mentally, and all of a sudden he starts seeing Superman as Parallax. He's like, I tricked you. I was in Superman.
But wait, wasn't he like that in the last issue?
He was, but this book was a quick read, and I'll tell you why. Because the fight was very non-wordy. It was very action-heavy, which I like in situations like this. And then it turns out that the whole thing was kind of an illusion that was put in Hal's head, that Superman was completely fine. It was what Hal was seeing. And then we find out that it was a person putting that in Hal's head, and that was the return of Hector Hammond. So we'll see where we go with this in the next issue, and if Superman will be sticking with Hal Jordan through the next issue. I'm not sure. But I know that he got the ring from Superman, so it'd be interesting, because he said we have to find Hector Hammond, so maybe him and Superman
have to find Hector.
So maybe him and Superman will be teaming up.
All right, Red Hood and the Outlaws, issue number 15, Bizarre Return, and we get some back characters in this comic book. Like I want to show you actually. We get like Orphan, Clayface.
That's basically the Detective Comics team. Azrael, Batwing.
Right, so basically they're meeting up with each other at the headquarters, and they get a message from the Outlaws, like saying, please be advised that you are no longer required in Gotham City at this time because they're taking over and yada yada yada. So as that's going on, they don't take that very easily, so what they do is that they go to the Outlaws' lair and they start to make a huge fight scene, and this artwork's really good for that issue. And long story short, as they're fighting, Bizarro actually gets the real whammy in this one when he gets the whatchamacallit, some red pill, I think it was. What was it called? Like they gave him like some red pill or something. I can't remember where it was, but basically that's how. Oh yeah, right here. That. I don't know what it was called. But yeah. So basically for this one, they were destroyed, and now they're going to be calling the Suicide Squad and her. And if you know who her is, that is Amanda Waller. Why won't it go in? Thank you. Amanda Waller just wouldn't want to go in. But, so yeah. A really great story, though. I can't wait to see the next issue of Red Hood and the Outlaws.
Last three books are the heavy hitters of the week, and that is Metal, issue number 3. Superman is trapped in some type of a dream world until Wonder Woman pulls him out. But Batman has been reaching out to Superman through this dream world that Barbados created. Lois has been taken by the infection. John is somewhere safe, but basically Batman sent an SOS through this dream world, somehow still connected to Superman. The rest of the book is a lot of disposition after a fight between Superman and the others. In Gotham, Flash saves him, and then the rest of it is a heavy set of disposition, and I'm not joking here. There's a lot of words in this book.
It looks like a lot of words. Wow.
But in the end, Superman insists he's right, that, we have to go find Bruce, we have to save Bruce, we got to go into the dark universe where the coordinates are, and we have to save him. So Superman, through many means, ends up going to this world. The rest of the Justice League or superheroes that are left are going looking for ninth metal because that's what hurts these beings. That's all that hurts these beings. And it turns out that it was a trick, that the SOS was from Barbados to counter Batman's SOS saying to stay away. Batman wanted Superman, Bruce wanted Superman to stay away from those coordinates because Bruce is not the power cell for the battery. It's actually Superman, and Superman didn't listen, and he's in like this denial of, no, this can't be, we can't be defeated, this can't be true, and then boom. Next issue is in 2 months, so we won't be seeing issue number 4 till, we're in October right now, November, December. We won't be seeing it until December. This is going all the way until, I believe, January, so This is going to be a lengthy story, I will say that.
I thought it was going to end in December.
I thought so too. I guess it's going to January.
All right.
This is my favorite book of the week, and you guys will understand that by the time we get to the end of this book's review. Batman Detective Comics 966.
Oh, yeah, I want to see that part.
So Tim and future Batman Tim are fighting off against Doomsday. We get a little bit of a recap at the beginning of the book, which confirms that this Batman Tim... Now, for those of you that read Jeff Johns' Teen Titans, remember Titans of Tomorrow?
Yep.
That's this Tim Batman. So if you read the Teen Titans, this is Titans of Tomorrow's Tim. If the world went dark and the Titans went bad, this is Dark Tim. Dark Batman Tim. And this is also connected to that one shot that involved Batwoman, and there will be another crossover in Detective, unless this is it. This might be it too. I don't know. But anyway, Tim is kind of fighting his older self, saying, I'll never become this. And he's like, yeah, you say this. And then he gives him a rundown of, Dick was Batman for a time, then he left. Jason was always a lost cause. Damian took over as Batman for a while, and then... I'm sorry.
What was that?
Damian took over as Batman for a while, and then things went bad, and then necessary things had to happen with Damian. And in the end, basically, they get away from Doomsday long enough for them to escape back to the world, back to Earth. And we find out, or this is the part that I like. This is where, if you read Pre-New 52, you'll know what this means. If you didn't, you won't. Batman Tim tells, the Red Robin Tim, tell Connor you're sorry for everything, because there was a few things that went on with Connor. So I really enjoyed this, because this is where Tim's like, Connor? Who the hell is Connor? And that's where Batman Tim says, what? And he looks it up, and he's like, there's no Connor. There's no Connor. And then he messes with himself. He sees it. He's like, there's a scar. The future is permeable right now. I have to find Batwoman, and I need to save myself before Batwoman turns me into who I am now. Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff.
Boy.
But the big reason why this is an important book is he mentioned Connor. And from what Jay says, there was mention from a writer or from somebody that they want to bring Connor, Cassie, Bart, and the Young Justice back.
Really?
So this is the beginning. The mere mention of a character's word is the beginning of what we all know is going to eventually happen now. Connor will return. It's just a matter of when. And then my second favorite book of the week goes to Action Comics 989. Basically DC's version of a lenticular done right. Look at how that lenticulates perfectly. Okay. So basically Superman says, no, I'm not leaving with you, Dad. You sent me to Earth. This is where I belong. And then we find out that also Oz has other things in effect, that he's the reason why all this chaos is breaking out throughout the world. This nut job comes into the Daily Planet wanting to shoot everybody up because they tell lies. And obviously he said Oz is the one that told us the truth finally. And Lois is like, listen, let everybody go. I'm a reporter. I'll tell you a story. So while Superman's trying to stop all the chaos going on around the world, Lois is dealing with this dude the way she knows best. And Jor-El ends up, spoiler alert, saving her. And, of course, John escapes as Superboy trying to figure out, trying to help, because he thinks that his dad is up there saving his mom, and it's really Jor-El. And Jor-El ends up taking John to the fortress. And, he shows John a little bit of the past, a little bit of the future, which, by the way, this costume was something that Connor wore. But right now, Connor's not part of the DC Universe, so the future is not with him in it. But he ends up showing John a world where him and his family won't have to worry about hiding their identities. And this is basically where he wants them all to go. So now he's they're using, and this is what I agree with Jay and the others about, they're using John once again as a plot device. They did this with Manchester Black. They did this with another character. And now here we are again in the Oz Effect. And now John is the one that is in the forefront, or in the way of, he's kind of the plot device. Now right. Superman has to convince John, or I don't know if John's going to say no like Clark did, if John's going to be interested and take Oz's side for a time. But obviously this is going to mess with John even further, because again, Superman said, no, this is where you sent me, this is where I belong, and this is where I'm going to stay. But now Jor-El is messing with John, and that's still 2 more issues of action to go with the Oz effect. And what's John's decision going to be? How is this going to weigh in on John? Because John knows this is his grandfather. What's going to happen next? And that's what I find out. It's going to be interesting. I just don't like that, again, John is the focal point. And now it's going to be up to Clark to stop John or to save John or, to convince John that Jor-El's wrong. I mean, how many of these things are going to happen to John before John just says, you know what, Dad, screw you, I'm doing my own thing.
John.
And don't forget, we're going to be seeing more Titans tomorrow soon. As a matter of fact, now that I remember this, with John in the future, with Damian in the future, in the crossover between Titans and Teen Titans.
So we'll see what happens there.
And no, I'm sorry. Superman, Teen Titans, and Super Sons.
Alright, so I'll be seeing Teen Titans soon then.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So anyway, that's it for this review, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Sorry it's late. Hopefully, our books will come tomorrow, which is the normal day. And we'll get to reading. I will have a review up for Frontline. Probably it'll be up tomorrow now since we had to record this later on tonight. Thank you guys so much for being here as always, though. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to comment below your thoughts, likes, dislikes, agree, disagree. This was not recorded live, so it's a full-on video. That's why the quality is a little bit better than when we do a live show. But anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Feel free to comment. We'd love to hear from you guys. We should be doing this live next week. I'm not sure yet. Again, we'll find out. Right. We'll figure it out as time goes forward. I believe the next 2 weeks are pretty light when it comes to the Marvel Legacy books, and I'm already light on DC, so we'll see. Anyway, till then, guys, take care, keep reading, keep collecting, and we'll see you guys really soon in the next video.
Later, everybody.